The conference room felt too small for the weight of the moment. I sat across from my sister Jennifer, watching as she spread the lawsuit papers across the polished mahogany table with theatrical flair. Her lawyer, a sharp-suited man named Harrison, wore the confident smile of someone who thought victory was guaranteed. "It's really quite simple," Jennifer said, tapping the documents with her perfectly manicured nail. "Dad wasn't in his right mind when he changed his will. The company should have gone to both of us equally, or better yet, to me entirely. I've been there longer after all. My name is Catherine Walsh, and at 35, I was watching my older sister try to steal our father's software company right out from under me, not knowing I'd spent the last 2 years building a case that would destroy her. 15 years at the company versus my 10, I replied calmly, though quantity of time doesn't always equal quality of contribution. Jennifer's smile tightened. "And what exactly is that supposed to mean?" "Just an observation." I kept my tone neutral, careful not to show my hand. "You've certainly been busy during your time there." If she caught the double meaning in my words, she didn't show it. Instead, she turned to her lawyer with an exaggerated sigh. "See what I mean? This is exactly why Dad couldn't have been thinking clearly. Catherine has no idea how to run a business. She's too academic." The way she said it, like being thoughtful was a weakness, reminded me of all the times she'd dismissed my careful analysis in favor of flashier, riskier strategies. Strategies that, I discovered, often involved creative accounting. "The lawsuit is quite straightforward," Harrison interjected. "We have evidence suggesting your father was unduly influenced during his final months. The change in his will, making you sole heir to Walsh Technologies, appears suspicious given the circumstances." I raised an eyebrow. "What circumstances would those be?" "Your sudden interest in the company's operations," Jennifer cut in. "The private meetings with Dad. The way you manipulated him during his illness." The irony of her accusing me of manipulation almost made me laugh. Instead, I opened my laptop. "Would you like to see what those private meetings were really about?" Jennifer waved dismissively. "Your little spreadsheets and analysis reports. Please, this is about justice. About what Dad would have wanted if he'd been thinking clearly." "Dad was thinking very clearly," I said softly, especially after I showed him the audit results. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Audit. I typed in my password, pulling up files I'd spent 2 years compiling. It started with discrepancies in the international division's accounts. Small things at first, expenses that didn't quite add up, contracts with irregularities. But you know how I am, too academic, always digging deeper." Jennifer's confidence wavered slightly. "Those accounts were properly managed. I oversaw them personally." "Yes, you did." I turned my laptop toward her. "Very personally, from what I found. Especially the offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands." The color drained from her face as she recognized the account numbers on the screen. Harrison leaned forward, frowning as he studied the display. "Ms. Walsh," he began, "what exactly are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything," I replied. "I'm stating facts. For the past 10 years, Jennifer has been systematically embezzling from Walsh Technologies. Small amounts at first, carefully hidden in international transactions. But it grew bolder over time, didn't it, Jen?" Jennifer stood up so quickly her chair rolled back and hit the wall. "This is ridiculous. You're making accusations without proof because you know you're going to lose the company." I clicked to the next file. "Here's proof. Every transaction, every hidden account, every fake vendor contract you used to funnel money out of the company. Dad saw all of this 2 years ago. That's what our private meetings were about, me showing him exactly how his trusted daughter had been stealing from him for a decade." Harrison was now looking at Jennifer with growing concern. "Ms. Walsh, if these allegations have any merit—" "They don't," Jennifer snapped, but her voice had lost its confidence. "This is just Catherine trying to distract from the real issue. Dad wasn't competent when he changed his will. We have doctors willing to testify." "Doctors you paid to say what you wanted," I finished for her. "Yes, I found those transactions too, along with the emails where you discussed exactly what you needed them to claim about Dad's mental state." Reaching into my briefcase, I pulled out a thick folder. "This is just a summary of what I've discovered. The full documentation has already been submitted to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. They're particularly interested in the international aspects of your schemes." Jennifer sank back into her chair, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. You're bluffing. You couldn't have tracked everything. I was careful. Not careful enough. I opened the folder, revealing page after page of detailed financial records. Did you really think I spent the last 2 years just letting you plot against me? Every time you moved money, I followed it. Every fake contract you created, I documented it. Every person you bribed or threatened, I recorded it. Harrison was now gathering his papers, his earlier confidence replaced by professional concern. I think we need to take a break and reassess our position. Good idea, I agreed. Though you might want to review your ethical obligations as an attorney, especially regarding the presentation of falsified medical evidence in a lawsuit. He paled slightly, nodding as he quickly packed his briefcase. Jennifer, we should discuss this privately. But Jennifer wasn't listening. She was staring at the documents in front of her, years of careful schemes unraveling with each page. How? She whispered. How did you find all this? You taught me well, actually, I replied. All those years of dismissing me as too academic, too detail-oriented. It turns out those qualities are pretty useful when investigating financial fraud. The aftermath of that meeting unfolded exactly as I planned. Harrison withdrew from the case immediately, unwilling to risk his reputation on a lawsuit built on fraudulent evidence. Jennifer, faced with overwhelming proof of her crimes, tried desperately to regain control of the situation. We can work something out, she said, following me to my office. Some kind of arrangement between sisters. I set my briefcase down, turning to face her. Like the arrangement where you stole millions from Dad's company while plotting to take it from me entirely. That money was just insurance, she insisted. I worked just as hard as you did. I deserved. You deserved? I cut her off. Let's talk about what you deserved. Dad gave you everything, the best education, the best opportunities, a high-level position in his company straight out of college. And how did you repay him? By stealing from him for 10 years. Her composure cracked completely. He always liked you better, always praised your analytical mind and attention to detail. I had to protect myself. Protect yourself. I pulled up more files on my computer. Is that what you call creating fake vendor companies to funnel money offshore, or bribing doctors to question Dad's mental competency, or threatening employees who noticed accounting irregularities? She paled at that last part. Who told you about the threats? Marcus in accounting, Sarah in legal. Pretty much everyone you tried to silence. I turned my screen toward her. They kept records, Jen. Emails, voicemails, text messages, all documenting how you tried to cover your tracks. The next day, the FBI arrived at Walsh Technologies with a warrant. I watched from my office as they escorted Jennifer out, her designer suit and perfect makeup a stark contrast to the handcuffs around her wrists. The investigation uncovered even more than I found. Jennifer's embezzlement totaled over $12 million, carefully siphoned through a network of shell companies and offshore accounts. She'd been thorough in hiding her tracks, but my 2 years of investigation had unraveled every scheme. Your father would be proud, Agent Torres told me as we reviewed the evidence. This is one of the most comprehensive internal investigations I've seen. I thought about Dad's face when I first shown him proof of Jennifer's theft. The hurt, the disbelief, but also the recognition of why I'd spent so much time digging through company records. He knew what she was doing, I said quietly. Deep down, I think he knew. He just couldn't bring himself to believe it until I showed him concrete evidence. The criminal trial was swift and damaging. Jennifer, faced with overwhelming documentation of her crimes, accepted a plea deal. 15 years in federal prison, plus restitution of all stolen funds. But the real work began after her conviction. Walsh Technologies had taken a hit to its reputation, and employees were shaken by the revelation of such extensive fraud by a senior executive. I called an all-staff meeting the day after Jennifer's sentencing. I know the past few months have been difficult. I began, looking out at concerned faces, finding out someone you trusted was stealing from the company. Watching federal agents walk through our offices, it's not what any of us expected. Marcus, the accountant who'd first noticed irregularities years ago, spoke up. What happens now? The company's reputation will be rebuilt, I finished firmly, starting with a complete overhaul of our financial controls. No more single-person oversight of international accounts. No more pressure to ignore irregularities. And most importantly, no more fear of retaliation for reporting concerns. Over the next year, I implemented every security measure and financial safeguard I had studied during my investigation of Jennifer. Each weakness she'd exploited became a point of strength. Each person she threatened became part of a new, more transparent management structure. The company didn't just survive, it thrived. Our reputation for financial integrity and ethical business practices actually brought in new clients, particularly those concerned about international compliance and transparency. 2 years after Jennifer's arrest, I received a letter from her in prison. Dear Catherine, I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. To the company, to Dad, to you. I told myself I was just taking what I deserved, but the truth is I was jealous. You earned Dad's trust while I tried to steal it. I'm sorry. Jennifer. I filed the letter away without responding. Some betrayals go too deep for apologies to matter. That evening, I sat in Dad's old office, my office now, looking at his photo on the wall. He passed away 6 months after changing his will, secure in the knowledge that the company was in good hands. My phone buzzed with a text from Agent Torres. Just got word. They found Jennifer's last hidden account. All stolen funds recovered. I smiled, thinking about how differently things might have turned out if Jennifer had succeeded with her lawsuit. Instead of exposing her crimes, I might have lost everything Dad had worked to build. A knock on my door interrupted my thoughts. Sarah from legal entered, carrying a thick folder. The new compliance procedures you requested, she said, setting them down. And there's something else you should see. She pulled out a document, an old email thread she discovered during routine archiving. In it, Jennifer detailed her original plan to take control of the company dating back 12 years. She never intended to share leadership, Sarah said quietly. Even before she started stealing, she was plotting to push you out. I nodded, unsurprised. The lawsuit wasn't her first plan. It was just her last desperate attempt after everything else failed. Looking out over the city lights, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. Jennifer had spent years underestimating me, dismissing my analytical nature as a weakness. She never realized that same attention to detail would be her undoing. The company quarterly meeting was scheduled for tomorrow. We would be announcing record profits, expanded international operations, with new, rigorous oversight, and a revolutionary software platform that would cement our position as industry leaders. All because Jennifer had tried to steal what was rightfully mine, never realizing that her own actions would prove exactly why Dad had made the right choice in his will. Sometimes justice comes not from confrontation, but from careful documentation, not from dramatic showdowns, but from years of patient investigation. Jennifer had wanted a quick victory through legal manipulation. Instead, she'd gotten 15 years to reflect on the consequences of underestimating her too academic sister. As I reviewed the next day's presentation, my phone buzzed with another message, this time from Marcus in accounting. Year-end audit completed. Every account reconciled, every transaction verified. We've come a long way from where we started. Indeed, we had. From uncovering systematic theft to rebuilding a stronger company, from exposing betrayal to establishing new standards of integrity. Jennifer had tried to destroy what Dad built, but instead, she'd forced me to make it better than ever.